What's up, YouTube? I'm out in the shop. That was my next project I'm working on, is a goat milking stand. Because in the springtime we're going to be getting some goats. They're probably, they're going to be some baby goats, so I mean, I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, but it is winter time. And I got to come up with projects to do, so this is what I'm working on. So what I'm going to be building this thing out of is pallets that are made out of pine wood. I get them for free. And I'm going to try and make this stand all with pallets without using any other kind of wood. So we'll see what I can do. Okay, so after staring at this pallet for a while, trying to figure out how I'm going to put this thing together and not waste so much wood, what I did was, these pallets are 40 inches by 47 inches. So I mark from here, make a mark at 2 foot, cut it across, and leaves me with 16 inches going this way. So you got 2 foot, 16 inches, 40 inches. So what I'm going to do with the 16 inches pieces is I'm going to use them for the legs. Let's take a walk inside. Okay, it's nice and warm in here. Wood stove going. So anyway, so this is what we did. You got 2 foot piece, and I filled in the spaces, 2 1/4, 2 1/4, filled in all the spaces, and that's your top piece. Now the 16-inch pieces I used on the side as legs. Leaving, all I did was cut the pallet, straight across, 2 foot, 16 inches, and it leaves you with this. So these are the legs here. And the other thing I did was, on the bottom of the pallet, I cut little blocks at 3.5 inches. You can see them going down. There's 3 of them. Because when you put your legs on the side, you're going to take off. I know this is 10.5. I forget how much I take off. So this piece is 10.5 inches, and this one is 16 inches, and then it should fit right in there like a notch. And then you just tack it in. It's all glued and nailed together. I try to make this thing so it'll last for a long time. And I'll tell you, you can jump on this thing, put 500-600 pounds, and it ain't going anywhere. Well, anyway, the only other thing that I would suggest if you're going to do this is, see this piece here, when you cut it at 2 foot, you got these rails that run in. These are already in the pallet. There's 3 of them. So when you cut it at 2 feet, it leaves you 3 inches or so. So what I did was I took another one of these rails I got in there, put that in first, then made the cut, because if you cut it without putting this in first, this has a tendency to drop down, and it is tough to get it back in there. So that's the only thing I would suggest if you're going to cut it like that. Put that in first, then cut it. And I put a couple cross pieces on here, and I tell you, the thing is solid, really solid. And the other thing I got to do is now I got to make the part for the front where he puts his head in, or she puts her head in, and a little spot for a feed bucket. Well, that's about it. So far, 100% free, except for the nails that I had laying around. Probably bought sometime way back when. So let me get back to it. Okay, a little more fooling around with it, and I put the backing on with just another piece of that 2 foot pallet. Actually, the total pallets I used on this thing was 3 pallets. So this is 2 foot high. I'm guessing that I'm looking at it, I don't think the goat is going to be much taller than that. I was reading a couple things online, and a lot of people had these parts about 38 inches from the base for a full-size goat. So this is 2 foot. I think he should be able to fit his head up over this when he's standing here. So, and the other thing they were saying is 4 1/4 inches in between here. So this thing's going to be able to slide back and forth. So right now he's got plenty of room to get his head in, and I can pull it in to be, whatever. But I'm not going to put the latch on there yet until we get some goats and see how that's going to work out. I can do that later on. So what I did was I actually used the slats for the pallets for where they put the forks in. This is what I used to make a slot for this movable piece. Just a screw in the bottom. No big deal. So that's how that works. And the only thing I have to do now is put some kind of a shelf here for a bowl. But I don't know what kind of bowl I'm going to be using. I might just go to Tractor Supply and get one of those little buckets that hang. They got like a little lip on it. So if that's the case, then I got to have the bucket first to see how I'm going to do that. So I'm not going to do that yet. So that's about it for this project. I was working on it probably 4 to 5 hours. Spend a lot more time just sitting there looking at it, thinking how I was going to do it than working on it, probably, because I was trying to be efficient with the pallets that I had and the way I was going to use them and not waste them. So there's about 3 pallets on this. I think it came out pretty good. It's very sturdy. I ain't worried about putting a goat on there. He ain't going to go anywhere. You can put 10 goats on there, it ain't going to fall down. This backing's pretty sturdy. So I nailed it down, glued it, plus I came up on the sides all the way down, so that made it rigid. Well, that's about it. I mean, it was pretty simple. Once I figured out how I was going to make the cuts, then it was pretty straightforward. Alright, YouTube, there's your goat milking stand. Now we just got to get some goats.